By 2025, AFCON was no longer just Africa's premier football tournament. It had become one of the continent's most bankable economic assets. The 2025 Africa Cup of Nations is projected to deliver $192.6 million in total revenues, fueled by $126 million in sponsorship deals, $46 million in global broadcast rights, and nearly $19 million in ticketing and hospitality. More striking than the revenue? The tournament is expected to generate over $110 million in net profit, marking a new era where AFCON functions as a financial engine funding Africa's football and sports development pipeline. But to understand how a sporting event became a profit-generating institution with continental economic significance, we need to rewind back to when AFCON was still a beloved competition, but not yet a commercial force shaping Africa's economic narrative.
Welcome to Spotlight in Africa, where we provide the clarity, data, and intelligence investors need to understand Africa's evolving markets.
The Africa Cup of Nations began in 1957 when the tournament launched with only 3 participating nations in Sudan. In its earliest decades, AFCON was driven by national pride, not corporate sponsorship decks or global media contracts. For much of the 20th century, the tournament remained largely regional in its commercial footprint, constrained by fragmented media markets, limited broadcast infrastructure, and under-monetized sponsorship potential. Still, even then, AFCON carried an economic signal investors often overlook: mass audience concentration, cross-border engagement, and brand loyalty at scale, the foundational ingredients of a future asset class. And once continental integration and media commercialization caught up with the tournament's cultural importance, the competition would be transformed forever. The real inflection arrived not in a single match, but through institutional reform. By the early 2020s, the Confederation of African Football, CAF, began restructuring its commercial strategy, prioritizing governance improvements, centralized media rights packaging, and premium multinational sponsorship acquisition. AFCON evolved from a tournament funded by sentiment into one backed by commercial discipline and strategic partnerships, unlocking new capital and revenue pathways. Within a few years, sponsorship and broadcast rights were no longer side components. They became the core pillars of AFCON's investment narrative. The tournament was no longer just growing in scale, it was growing in valuation. For Morocco, AFCON 2025 represents more than event hosting. It is a macroeconomic catalyst. The tournament is expected to generate $1.2 billion in wider economic activity, driven by an estimated 600,000 to 1 million international visitors, alongside unprecedented domestic and regional travel flows. Hospitality, transit networks, retail corridors, and informal markets across host cities have experienced demand surges typically associated with global mega events. At the same time, infrastructure investments, stadium modernization, urban mobility upgrades, and transport capacity expansion are being positioned as long-duration economic assets, capable of producing returns long after the final whistle. Yet, as with all capital deployment at national scale, the debate remains: was the public spend worth the economic yield? The answer will shape future host country investment models. If logistics built AFCON's foundation, media markets built its upside. The 2025 edition secured record global broadcast distribution, entering 30-plus European markets and capturing massive diaspora-driven viewership across digital and linear platforms worldwide. That global reach triggered measurable market outcomes: rising advertising rates, higher sponsorship valuations, increased digital engagement multiples, and a new investor perception of AFCON as a global football media property, not just a continental competition. AFCON was now being priced like an asset with liquidity and attention premiums, the same dynamics that drive capital markets. By AFCON 2025, the tournament reached commercial maturity, $32 million in total prize money, strengthening national federations' balance sheets, record sponsorship participation, underwriting profitability, broadcast, reach, driving valuation expansion, and profit margins funding continental sports development. AFCON had become something new, a capital-generating institution powering African sport investment and federation financing strategies. The tournament was proving a thesis increasingly familiar in emerging markets investing. Attention is currency, audiences are liquidity, and sport, when structured well, is infrastructure. AFCON's transformation is still unfolding, but the trend is clear. It has shifted from competition to commercial institution, from cultural moment to economic market mover, and from regional spectacle to investment narrative shaping Africa's sports economy. For Morocco, AFCON is a tourism accelerator and infrastructure proving ground. For Africa, it represents a broader economic truth. Football is no longer just a game. It is a platform for capital formation, market integration, and continental brand equity expansion.
For more intelligence on Africa's economy, finance, and capital markets, subscribe to our channel at Spotlight in Africa.